Well, good evening, campers, outdoor enthusiasts, and the few dedicated subscribers to my very, very slowly growing channel. Glad you can make it on this little adventure of mine today. And in fact, this evening, I am not in a mountainous area where I like to escape to wherever I can. No, I've actually stuck pretty close to home tonight. I'm a Hertfordshire man down near London, and tonight actually, I'm in the Chiltern Hills, just outside the gorgeous little market town of Barton-le-Clay. Sounds very French, but it's well and truly home counties, don't you know? Yeah, not far from home at all, probably about 20 miles. Couldn't be arsed with a long journey. And yeah, there's no dramatic peaks, cascading mountain rivers tonight, I'm afraid. But it's still pretty scenic. I mean, check that out. Not bad, is it? And as always, I'm running late. You know, we're now sort of like getting towards the end of November. And stupid, I don't know, I thought it was going to get dark at about 5. No, sunset 6 minutes past 4. And with that cloud up there, yeah, it's going to get dark pretty sharpish. So yeah, I don't know this area at all. So the plan, first of all, is to get high, because it'd be nice to get some views, and then try and find a little sheltered spot where I can get my tent up, where I can still sort of half see what I'm doing. So I'm going to crack on, find a little spot. I'll catch you in a bit. Right, I spy with my little eye. Something beginning with CS. Give you a couple of seconds. Any ideas? Right, no, you would never have got it. Camping spot. I reckon up there where that little clump of trees is. I mean, I'll probably get up there and the slope will be 45 degrees and absolutely useless. But it looks like I could get a little bit of protection up there and not be seen by, I don't know, all the people that are probably going to be descending on this area for like runs tomorrow morning. But first thing I've got to do is I've got to get down here. I did read about a few sort of like dry valleys. It's actually really, it's a lovely little spot actually, this. But there's going to be a bit more climbing involved than I realised. I've just climbed up. I've got to go all the way down again and then up the other side. Just heard, I don't know if you heard in the last little bit, sort of there was a family with a few kids. But I'm hoping now that everyone's, I mean, it's like I say, it's going to get dark in the next half an hour or so. So I'm hoping that everyone's going to sort of naff off back to their cars and leave me in peace. Because I will say, you know, spots I normally go to like Snowdonia, you know, the Pennines, you know, it's probably more normal to be wild camping up there. And if people see you, they kind of just say, oh, he's a bit of an adventurer. That's all good. But if I get seen in this neck of the woods, I think people are going to think I'm probably homeless and destitute. So, yeah, I think remaining sort of hidden is the name of the game down here. Anyway, this is hardly riveting viewing, so I shall come back. I did say the last little bit I'd come back when I found a spot. I will actually do that. And plus, yeah, I'm going to start blowing out of my bottom in a minute because that looks bloody steep. So, ain't going to be pretty. Let's do it. Right, I am rapidly losing daylight, as you can see. And I think I've been searching around. It seems like, finding a spot has been like trying to find a needle in a haystack. I'm going to go. You probably can't see it very well at all, but there's a little bit down here, which seems like the flattest bit around. But the issue is, if I sort of move around like this, you can see how exposed this little spot is. I'm not really worried about the wind. I don't think it's meant to be that bad. The worry is that I'm going to be found by a walker, a dog walker, a runner, you name it. I mean, we're not in Snowdonia here. We're in the very, very civilised Chilterns. And there's some villages and stuff not too far away. But I reckon there's only about 20 minutes of daylight left. So if I get this tent up, once it gets dark, and especially once I go to sleep, no one's going to know I'm here. I think the issue is, you know, once it gets dark, I'm going to have my torch on and then I'm going to be like a beacon. So anyone around, anybody nearby is going to see this light and maybe wonder what's going on. But what's that? I mean, I say it in every video. What is it Adele says? He who dares wins, Rodders, he who dares. So I think I'm just going to have to get on with it and hope for the best. You know, what's the worst that can happen? Famous last words. Anyway, I need to stop rambling on because it is literally getting dark up by the moment. Let's get this tent out and let's get this tent up. Let's do it. So I have properly settled into my portable home away from home. And as we all know about winter camping, you get to know this inner a lot better than you do during the summer. In fact, I've pretty much been in here since it got dark, because actually, yeah, as soon as the sun set, it started to rain, and now it's really foggy out, so you can't actually see a single thing. It is actually like being up in the mountains, even I'm in the Chilterns. And yet, dinner, I've already boiled the jet boil up, so dinner's just sitting for a few minutes, just letting hot water sort of work its magic. But let's get to the most important bit first of all, which is, of course, is the booze. I just find that you can't go wild camping without a good drop of alcohol. So tonight, it's Asda's Finest. And I've actually not tried either of these before. So I think my first one is going to be this, which is, don't know if you can see it, that is a Velvet Stout, 5.3%. And this one is a West Coast IPA. So I'm looking forward. In fact, actually, do you know what? No time like the present. Let's crack one of these open and give it a try. Oh, God bless that sound. Cheers. Oh, I tell you what, that is really, really good. It actually tastes a bit chocolatey. And actually, funny that, because it says on the side, chocolatey. That is really, really nice. And I know it's not December, but it actually feels quite festive as well. So I'm going to have a few more of them. Right, I'll come back to you in a minute when the grub's up, and I'll let you know just how good this food is. Right, grub's up. I'm going to do an impression of one of those fine sort of like food testers or food tasters on Saturday Kitchen. So I'm going to start with a smell test. Not bad. So far, so good. But the important bit is going to be the taste test. So here goes. Oh, I tell you what, that is not half bad. It's actually got a bit of a kick to it as well, which when you're eating chili, it's what you want. And I'll tell you another thing, actually. I mean, it doesn't look very big. When I got this, I was tempted, when it's so light when you carry it, you're wondering whether there's going to be enough food in there for a meal, but there's absolutely loads in here. And I've no doubt I'm going to be nicely topped up by the end. Not bad at all. Normally when I wild camp, I tend to bring tin stuff just because it's so easy to cook, and it ends up sort of quite a bit cheaper than these. But when you're climbing mountains and weight matters and you're fighting gravity, you tend to want to be sort of carrying less weight. When if you're carrying a couple of tins of beer and tin food, it really weighs you down. I can certainly speak from experience there. So I reckon this might well be the way forward. The next time I'm up in the the proper hills and the proper mountains. I don't think the Chilterns really count. Well, good morning all. And welcome to your first view of my home away from home. Apologies again last night that you really saw nothing other than me arrive and then me inside the tent. But it was such a fashionable late entrance that, yeah, by the time the tent was up, it was dark. I could see nothing. So there we go. There's the tent. And if I show you about, you can see when I mentioned I was pretty exposed, I really wasn't lying. I mean, it probably wasn't the best idea, not the best spot in the world, but there's been nobody around yet. I've not seen a single person. About 7:30 now, so I'm going to probably get the tent away in the next sort of 20 minutes or so and then do some breakfast, because there's not a single breath of wind. It was actually lovely being next to this wood. All of last night I could hear deer, or I don't know, maybe there were foxes, I'm not quite sure, but you could hear owls. You can't beat sort of the sounds of the woods, especially at night. And there you go, you can see actually as well, we are pretty high up here. I reckon we're about 160 metres. And it was great last night being able to watch sort of all the twinkling lights of Barton le Clay, sort of off in the distance there. Really, really nice. But I tell you, it did get pretty nippy. I'm glad that I brought all my layers with me, my decent winter gear. So there you go. It's not a national park. There's no mountains. But I tell you what, 20 minutes from home, I'm pretty pleased and pretty chuffed with just how good this camp's actually been. I reckon I'll have to do some more. Right, anyway, let's get this thing dried off down here and let's get it packed away before there's any sign of life. Let's do it. Right, so first job before getting this tent away, it's a bit of a faff, but it's to get rid of all of the rainwater. And, you know, even if it hasn't been raining, normally when you're up in the hills, you get the good old mountain dew. There's a little idea actually I picked up from that well-known YouTuber, Paul Messner. You know, if you stick your tent away and it's soaking wet, your tent's not going to last long, really, is it? It's just going to, I don't know, it'll end up rotting away and not smelling very good. So yeah, it's 5-10 minutes of faff, but it's well worth it. So I've just got with me one of those sort of like high fibre cloths. Soak up loads of water. Nice easy job. And if you're really trying to be like economical and sort of Bear Grylls-y, then I suppose you could even use the water that you're soaking up. If you've got a clean cloth, you could use the water sort of to boil up and then use for cooking or for like tea or coffee. That's a bit of a genius idea. So yeah, if that's not something you do already, well worth thinking about. Well, here we go. 20 minutes later, and I followed the old motto, LNT, leave no trace. Another of those few little bits there that will soon be gone. There is absolutely no evidence at all that I was ever here, apart from that little flat bit of grass. Plan now that no one knows that I was actually up here camping, I'm going to get the jet boil fired up, have a bit of breakfast, and then head on back towards the car. Maybe explore those hills over there a bit more, because I didn't get a chance last night. So yeah, while we're waiting for the water to boil up, I thought I'd show you quickly what I'm spoiling myself with this morning. Sunday morning, so I'm starting the day with some porridge. If you've never tried them actually, these are, I don't know if you can see it from there, but this is fuel porridge. Generally pick them up for about £1 a go. And this one's really chocolatey, so I really like it. Loads of carbs, really light, and just really filling as well. And just to push the boat out as well, I've got a banana, and then I'm going to use the boiling water that's left over. Obviously, you can't start the day without a coffee. So looking forward to this, with that view over there to enjoy as well. Tell you what, certainly beats the kitchen table, that's for sure. Oh, so here goes. Let's try this. Let's try this porridge. That is good. And really chocolatey. Maybe not everyone's idea of the perfect breakfast, but for me, it's bang on. It's good. But you know, while I was sitting here sort of boiling up the water on the jet boil, it just made me realise how much I appreciate actually being out here, being out in nature. You know, I've done quite a lot of wild camping now, and I try and get out sort of, if I can, about once a month. And I never ever get bored of sort of going off to sleep and waking up to the sounds of nature. Like, I live in a town called Welwyn Garden City, and for those of you who don't know it, it's a pretty big town near London, and I live in a flat, so I've got people either side of me, above me, below me, and I'm next door to a hospital as well. So as you can imagine, there is very little peace and quiet. You know, you kind of get used to it after a while. And in fact, the first time I went out wild camping, I actually didn't like the silence. I really, you know, it's just something I'm not really used to. But with practice, I've kind of got there with that, and I absolutely love it now. It's just really, really nice to drift off. Like last night, for example, I've drifted off to the sound of rain on the tent and the sound of sort of owls hooting in the trees. And then this morning, just the sound of pheasants, the breeze in the trees, and the birds as well. It's just, there's nothing better. It's so good for the soul. I bet those of you who actually, you know, are regular campers watching this would probably agree. But anyway, there's only so much of me actually eating porridge and me rambling on that you can actually enjoy before you get bored and sort of give up and watch another video. Oh, that hits the spot. So I think the next you'll see of me, I'll be leaving this spot and I'll be heading on back towards the car via some of the other hills. Oh my God, I just had a bit of a scare. Don't know if you can make out those sheep behind. Yeah, the last little bit I took, the last little bit of footage, they were as peaceful as the sheep in Wales. But I tell you what, there was a big old gang of them up there. I know that is not the right collective noun to use, but they bloody seemed like a gang. Because they all stopped and stared at me, which I'm pretty used to. You know, I do love a good stare off with the sheep. But as I went past, they all started coming towards me. In fact, one of them started to sort of, I don't know, started to speed up. And yeah, I'm not going to lie, I had to speed up as well. And I sort of put in half a run to get away from them. It seems these southern sheep are a hell of a lot more brazen and brave than their Welsh counterparts. But anyway, I thought I'd finish the video here, just because, yeah, I'm on my way back now to the car. But yeah, I've got to say, I've absolutely loved this camp, and it's been way better than I was expecting it to be. These hills just outside Hitchin have been absolutely tremendous. You know, it's I do love going to the mountains, and I'm in no way saying that this is as good as the Lake District, Snowdonia, or any of our national parks. But hopefully, this video shown that actually you don't have to. If you live near London, you know, and your nearest national park's over 100 miles away, you haven't got to do a 300-mile round trip every time you want some, you know, wild camping or some hills. You've got some nearer to home. So yeah, if you don't know this area, it's well worth checking out, definitely. And if you do live near London, don't use that as an excuse not to get out there and enjoy the camping. You know, it might seem a bit more difficult than being out in the properly wild areas, but if you play it smart, arrive late and leave early, it can be done. So no excuses. Get out there, get out in nature, and enjoy it. You'll be all the better for it. But as always, thanks ever so much for watching the video. Hopefully you've enjoyed. And yeah, hopefully it won't be too long until I'm out there again. Take care of yourselves, and if you can,